Howdy, y'all. I'm going to be probably a little, you might hear birds in the background. I've got my window open and the spring birds just sound, it's fun. I like it, the birds in the background. So if you don't like the extra noise, you might not. But anyway, and you might hear the ducks too, because she's got, do you still have the ducks in the front yard? Yeah, yeah. So you may hear some quack, quack and tweet, tweet, tweet. Anyway, it's fun. It's trying to act like spring. Oklahoma is trying to kill us again. So, yeah, just it it is. Matter of fact, I'll let you know how Oklahoma feels about us right now. This is how Oklahoma feels about us right now. So elevated today. This is Tuesday, and near critical tomorrow. It was near critical yesterday, elevated Thursday, and extreme on Friday. So, anyway, yeah, trying to decide whether I'm going to stay home or go somewhere. I don't even know where I would go because it's like all of Oklahoma, pretty much, Kansas, Texas. Where would I even go? Where would I even go? So, anyway, I'll probably just sit here at the computer and watch things. Here they're always flooded over here. It's like they hog up all the water over here on this side of Oklahoma, and this side of Oklahoma just hardly gets anything. It's not fair. So I'm just going to do a little bit of whining. Yeah, just totally, ooh, come on, participation. We need that. Anyway, yeah, no fun. No fun at all. I'm trying to kind of prepare myself for the coming week or so. So, ugh. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Okay, I'm going to talk about clothing, biblical clothing. And I've got a conspiracy, or I mean, it's not really a conspiracy. We just kind of like that word. Give me the tissues, please. Mm. Oh, thank you. Um, with spring and the dry weather and stuff comes the allergies. Sorry. It is what it is. Anyway, so clothing and Bible and clothing throughout history, these things just kind of fascinate me. They just kind of fascinate me. Let's see. Let's do a share. Let's share here. So I've been doing historical costuming to a point, kind of, since 1993. We had the Cherokee Strip land run reenactment out here. And I, with some friends, made costumes for it. And our youngest at the time, which is our second child, wore her great grandmother's baby dress from that time period, although, which was cool. My mother and Paul's mother were both in the reenactment, the land run, and staked their claims and everything just a mile over from where we are right now, where we ended up landing ourselves. So, all kinds of fun. I love historical clothing. I, it it does, it fascinates me, and the way trends and stuff, uh, modern trends tend to look back to those time periods. People like to make fun of the 80s, and there was a lot of different stuff in the 80s. And they'll always show the puffy hair and bright colors. But generally speaking, we wore puff sleeves, big lacy collars, and big hair, emulating the uh, the Edwardian period. And I'm just going to use Pinterest here because it's right now it's a little less. See, you can tell with my home thing, costumes come up right at the beginning. So um, Edwardian let's just pull this up. So, I mean, this is what we were going for very much. Okay, big lacy collars, high necks in some cases. We had the high-waisted jeans in different colors that were like pleated, baggy. Here's a lacy. I would love to have that whole outfit there. I think I've pinned that 3 times already, and they keep showing it to me. The big collars, sometimes ruffles at the bottom. That's what we did a lot of times. And the big hair, the big Gibson girl hair, except that we had a thing, that we wanted to wear pants and we didn't necessarily want our hair up, but we wore big bows in our hair in the 80s. I mean, this is what we were doing. A lot of times I had a plaid shirt with puff sleeves and a tie that went with it. Um, and ties will be in this kind of time period as well. So it was that this is what we were emulating for the most part. Now there was the punk and there was the gothic stuff. Not everybody dressed the same. And for the most part, unless you were dressing up for pictures or something, because all of the pictures that you see, we didn't have just everybody had their own camera at that point in time in the 80s. It took me, I didn't get my first camera until like my senior year, okay, 89. So it just so we didn't have cameras. If you were going to have your picture taken, you were going to dress up for it. So what you see generally in photos and in the movies is the high end kind of what we were doing at the time. On a regular everyday basis, we were just wearing jeans and t-shirts, okay? Period. End of story. Tennis shoes, a ponytail in our hair, just very, very general. So, 80s. So you pull up stuff like this. This is what we on a regular basis. This was they were doing their hair for something fun. Okay. Um, that's not 80s. Uh, but we had the florals, the very shabby looking florals, embroidery. I don't remember. I did have a pair of jeans like that. Um, big collars, big shoulders, baggy pants. That's a good one that's what we were doing. So anyway, it just kind of fascinates me. So there's this thing called a stomacher. A stomacher is a specific piece of a specific garment from a specific time period. Okay. Stomachers were something that were in the 1700s, the 18th century, and it was a sometimes decorative, sometimes not decorative. She's being snazzy because she's putting she put a phone pocket in hers. I wouldn't actually want my phone that close to me unless you lined the stomacher with RFID protection. So yeah, I wouldn't want it. I don't typically carry mine close to the heart. So anyway, these stomachers, they could be very, very decorative. And then they could be very simple every day. But basically, what it was is the front of your dress was laced, and the stomacher, was a modesty piece. Basically, you had that piece in front of the lacing to protect you from the. I mean, you had more layers. You would have a linen, usually linen, um, underdress on a chemise underneath, and there would be other things, but the stomacher is a very specific piece. It is this one piece of a dress. So tell me why, when the King James people, because this would have been about his time period, King James was 16 something. So if I go, 1611, right? The Bible. So let's go 1600 fashion. 1600 fashion. 17th century, 1600 fashion. Yeah, that's kind of what they're showing. This is interesting. Kind of got several, I don't know if this is a good image. So yeah, there's stomachers in the 17th century fashion. So 16, 1700. You've got this kind of fashion going on, right? So tell me why we have in Isaiah, we have Isaiah 3:24, and this is NASB. Okay. Now it will come about that instead of sweet perfume, there will be putrefaction. Instead of a belt, a rope. Instead of well set hair, a plucked out scalp. Instead of fine clothes, a donning of sackcloth, and branding instead of beauty. Okay. All right. And this fine clothes here, I I do believe is the word 16 or 6614. Okay. And this, they're taking it, and of course, this is strong, so we're going to take them with a grain of salt. Okay. Strong. Unfolding joy, a figured mantle for the holidays. Okay. Joy, rejoicing. There's fine clothes. This one, a rich robe, probably a foreign word. Okay. So this is saying that this probably isn't actually even a Hebrew word. They've got a word in there that probably wasn't actually even a Hebrew word. So they're talking about a piece of clothing of certain uncertain derivative. Okay. A mantle for the holidays, stomacher. Okay. And in the King James, we have, and it shall come to pass, instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink, instead of a girdle, a rent, instead of well set hair, baldness, instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Stomacher. Why did they use for a mantle of joy and holidays this one specific piece of clothing? Oops. Where did we go? Stomacher. This one specific piece of clothing. If you've watched, and I don't necessarily suggest it, but if you've watched, what is it, the Outlander? Yeah, Outlander. Um, Again, I don't specifically suggest it. It does show, I mean, the costumes are amazing in this, and it shows her getting dressed in all of the layers. There are videos on YouTube that show getting dressed in all of the layers, and it shows the stomacher, okay, of this time period. So, yeah, is it, why are we talking about a stomacher in a time when Isaiah, let's go ahead and go to Wikipedia, see what they say about Isaiah. 8th century B. Oh, I'm surprised they actually have BC instead of BCE there. Amazing. 8th century BC. So let's do this. Let us do this. Let me see. See what happens. Um, okay, no, that's 1500. Let's see, 1900s. They're not even going to come up with anything. See what happens. PC pass. Okay, try this. Okay. I mean, we're getting closer here. We're getting closer here. We've got ancient Rome. This is pre-ancient Rome. Okay. Um, does it give us a country? Because I think this is Babylonian time period, right? Yep. Yep. During the exile in Babylon. Okay. Okay. So, and I think this is pre. He's talking about what is going to happen, right? So let's go Babylonian. Babylonian fashion. Okay. Here's what we've got, guys. All right. And we've got like carvings of these types of things, right? But, like I've said before, people were wearing robes until, all of the sudden, um, buttons and buckles. So tell me what piece of this Babylonian dress would be the stomacher, the 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 clothing of joy, right? The and you can sit here and say that the King James people didn't know or something. Um, but okay, I've got a theory, and what if we're sitting here? Let's look at Babylonian. Let's just look up Babylon and see what interest throws at us. We've got a whole thing that's kind of showing the Esther Gate or Easter Gate or whatever. Um, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon and showing this. We've gone over like the amazing architecture that some of this was, right? Um, in Iraq, that it was pretty amazing. Okay, this is what people are. Okay, this is what people of Babylon. This is what we're picturing, like the Hanging Gardens, right? And we see architecture like this all over the world. So, number one, I do believe that the Babylonian Empire was worldwide because we do see stuff like this all over. And we are attributing this type of architecture to Babylonian, whether this is an AI image or not. Okay, Babylonian. Uh, that is what we're attributing. So, I mean, bring up another one. Okay. I mean, not too shabby, right? Okay, so all right. So we've got these carvings, and the carvings do show robes. Okay. We've got carvings like this. And it does show what looks like robes, right? Um, but again, when we are carving something, we're taking pictures of things and whatnot. Uh, it's not always the everyday, right? Kind of like in the 80s, the pictures, the images, the movies, they were not showing necessarily what people were looking like in the everyday, right? So, in the everyday, what were people dressed like? What did they look like? And I would dare say, because we know that our timeline has been messed with, And this is showing like army guys and stuff. Let's see, Babylonian. Hold on. See what we can come up with here. Just putting them in robes. I'm not seeing any actual carvings. Uh, and there's just not much here. Okay. So we have drawings. Okay. Uh, so I think that there's the possibility that this time period, at least part of it, was actually Babylonian. That some of the things that we are looking at in this right here, late medieval, Renaissance clothing, and Renaissance time period, which we would call Byzantine era. Let's see, I never spelled Byzantine. Oh, there we go. Um, okay, Byzantine clothing. Let's go there. Ooh, actually, look at this. Byzantine clothing. And does that look very similar to you? Pull this up right here and look at these two. Huh, guys. And of course, the Byzantine Empire lasted a good period of time, right? Um, they have lasted from 330 AD until 1453. So they're saying that the Byzantine Empire was actually over before the Renaissance. Renaissance, 14th to 16th centuries. Okay, so the Renaissance started right after the Byzantine, supposedly. So if we believe that we're in the short season, and I'm not saying definitely yay, nay, or otherwise, but it does seem like we are in a time of deception. Okay, definitely. I don't think anybody can argue with we are in a time of deception. And the only time that it really talks about that in the Bible as like a time of worldwide deception that I know of, pointed out if there's another place, is the short season. Okay. So, and just because somebody believes in the short season, that we could be in the short season does not believe that they are full, does not mean they are full preterists. It stops there. And what comes after it, the next chapter and a half of Revelation, we don't believe has happened yet. Okay. And I've had some great conversations with Shelly over it. There's no place like home about this, and we're agreeing to disagree at this point, right? And still love her. And so don't be hateful in her comments about it, um, because she's still researching. Okay. So be nice. Anyway, I just kind of think because I think, let's see, I saw a video the other day about the time period between 300 and was it 700 or 500? I can't remember. Anyway, or maybe it was 500 to 700. That there's definitely a gap somewhere in there. And then there's a gap between like the 700 and 1700 in between the like, and we're talking about like strata and archaeological finds. Okay. So, Understanding Conspiracy posted a video of an actual secular archaeologist talking about the lack of strata between the Roman Empire and the Vikings, and how they've got very similar coins, very similar ships, boats, uh, many things that are very similar between the two. And I looked it up, and yeah, yeah, definitely. So that, they were taking, he was taking like a 700 to 1,000 year type period there. We also know that the Roman calendar began earlier. Let me see if chat would help me or if Google would. When did the Roman calendar start? Uh, okay. The Roman calendar began about 738 BC. Had 10 months. So we've got a whole thing here of the calendar being changed several times. And then uh, history being inserted in. And there's like a whole bunch of written history in these time periods, but there's really not the strata for the cities and stuff to support that. So what if the Renaissance was the Babylonian Empire? And a lot of the stuff, it doesn't mean everything would be, but just taking a lot of the stuff because they want you to believe that, you know, they want you to believe this nonsense, okay? And they want you to believe that we're getting better and better, right? And they want you to believe that BC clothing, well, that clothing all the way up to, you know, what, the 1200s. Let's look at, let's see. I mean, and let's see, Roman clothing. Okay. And then you have this Roman clothing. And I think, oh, this is a good one right here, looking like here. And then you have the Regency era clothing. Okay. Which everything about the Regency era was very Romanesque. And we've been told that it was a Roman revival type of thing. Okay. So we have this Regency era type clothing and dresses. And so much the Regency era. Mostly clothing, mostly because this is what very Romanesque in the way that they dressed and just the things that they do. I mean, here you've got and you've got this Grecian column thing in here. So let's see. Why did you do that? That lost it. Architecture. Pull this up. Boy, they're not giving me much today. Wow. But it does come up with this Romanesque type thing. There was a lot of Romanesque, but let's see. The era. I just want to, there's a lot of this that has been hidden, that has been hidden. Let's just Oh, let's just peruse a little bit how well these ladies were dressed. Okay, let's just um I think the narrative we've been given about oppression is not necessarily the whole story. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So, it still doesn't want to give me that. Anyway, so I think the Regency era, let's, um, eras of, let's do, kind of going backwards. No, it's going frontwards. They're actually starting with the Industrial Revolution. That's interesting. Um, yeah, you get back very far, then you have the Bronze Age and this age and that age. And they go backwards of what um, Isaiah's, you know, I mean, Nebuchadnezzar's dream, right? Oh, come on. Ah, going wrong. All right, let's see. This one is good, maybe. It gives you the idea. Okay, so we have I wonder if I would be big enough. Okay, so we have the head of gold, which is the Babylonian Empire. And history likes to go back and say, oh, we had, the Stone Age and then the Bronze Age and then this age. But that's not how the Bible explains it. The Bible explains it that there was a golden age was the Babylonian Empire. The Silver Age was the Medo-Persian Empire. The Grecian Empire was bronze. The Roman Empire was iron. Okay. And then this one's calling the toes and feet of iron and clay um, the revived Roman Empire. So that could be the Byzantine Empire. I don't know. I'm not going to go into doctrinal beliefs as far as that's concerned, but this is it. And then the stone comes and knocks it all to pieces and becomes a mountain, and that is the kingdom. Okay, so this is it. This is all there is. So when they're trying to tell us that there's a Byzantine Empire and the British Empire and this empire and that, no, that's not what the Bible says. Okay, that's not what the Bible says. It doesn't mean that the British haven't been trying to do something. It doesn't mean that there wasn't something going on with the Ottomans and the Byzantines and the Tatarians. Okay. It doesn't mean that there wasn't something going on here, but it doesn't fit this biblical scenario here, unless you're going to call this right here the Tatarian, you know. But it, I don't think so. All right. I think what we're calling Tatarian is this right here. I think it was there. I think what we're calling Byzantine or the Renaissance, I think is this right here. Okay. And I think somewhere in here, we've got the Regency, period. And then we have what's going on today, right? Then we had the all of the upset that happened, all of the wars that happened at the beginning of the 1800s and throughout the 1800s. We had crazy amount of wars. We had things, trying to take over everything. Complete social upset. We have Cabbage Patch Babies. We have the uh, the train children, the orphan trains, and not just orphan trains, because here in America we know about the orphan trains, but we weren't necessarily told about the orphan ships that were going out of other countries and going into Australia and such whatnot. Okay, so there's this big thing of babies and children being displaced and moved all over the world. And then the upheaval of the education system, the political system, and everything of the world, right? So, short season, in my opinion. And before that, right before that, we have the Regency period, which was emulating, copying or whatever, the Grecian Roman, or was it? And before that, we kind of have this whole Ottoman, Byzantine, Tartarian thing that looks incredibly Persian. So much of it looks incredibly Persian with the domes and things. And then we have this whole Babylonian, which looks very Renaissance, does it not? So, anyway, I'll go ahead and pull back to the Bible here and let's go. Tunic. How many times do we have? Oh, really? I know it's in there. Um, another. Oh, try another. Let's try this one. Ah, here we go. In the NASB, we have tunic 25 times in the Bible. And if I look up, I get so many tabs open. So many tabs. Okay, let us look up tunic. What does it look like? This is what we think of a tunic. Okay. I mean, admittedly, something along these lines could be any time period, right? I mean, that could basically be any time period. We're getting modern tunics too, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. Admittedly, this is a very basic. We even call tunics today, and it doesn't look much different, right? We have stretchy material knit today instead of, and who's to say they didn't have knit too? And I mean, they could knit, but usually woven. Okay, tunic. Let's see, what would be another uh, pant? Pants. Let's see. No, this is deer panting. Yeah, that's pant. Oh, yep, no, that's panting. Okay, so that's like an animal. Let's see. Um, how do you spell breech? Breech. No, that's not it. Breeches. Linen breeches. Okay, there's at least 5 times in the Bible that we're talking about breeches. Okay, I look up breeches. Breeches. What do we get? We actually get these either writing breeches or we're getting a colonial period type of breeches. Again, kind of a Regency style type thing. Sorry. Anyway, very interesting. So what if we took one of these linen breeches, go all the way to Ezekiel with these? I'm usually talking about linen breeches, linen. Okay, it's always linen. So take note of that one. Okay. Linen, and this is calling it turbans. On their heads and linen undergarments shall be in their loins. So that's why are you calling it an undergarment? Trousers, breeches, to gather, to collect. Greek equivalent of nickness, concept of priestly garments. Some kind drawers. Okay, interesting. Canas, assemble and gather, collect, and fold. Grab. Okay, interesting. So anyway, I'm not saying specifically, um, but no button and that. Let's see. Buckle. Huh? Bucklers. Shield and buckler. Shield and buckler. This is a piece of armor, a buckler. There. Yep. The buckler and the shield. Shield and buckler. And always get my I's and E's. And yes, I know the rule, but I still do it wrong. Buckler, shield. Okay. So these are, so whenever I look up shield buckler, I'm getting a medieval Viking type thing. And instead of back pre-Babylonian. So this would be Akkadian. Nope, not going. Sumerian. Nope. Interesting that they ended up with an Aztec. That's a sponsored thing, but an Aztec calendar in there with shield and buckler. Interesting. So anyway, I just, I'm not coming to any specific conclusions. As far as this concerned, uh, interested to know what you guys kind of think. Uh, I just there's several places where we're talking about um, breeches, tunics, and a stomacher specifically. You know, um, it just kind of makes you think maybe this isn't what we think it is, and maybe Bible clothing. Because let's just look this up. Bible clothing. We're stuck with this type of thing. And my issue is Bible says that a woman should not wear men's clothing and men shouldn't wear women's clothing. There had to have been a difference, right? They're all wearing dresses there. So you can't use that scripture to tell me that women should only wear dresses and men should only wear pants because they're all wearing robes there. Um, and I know some people like to use that. I like wearing dresses and skirts. I just personally do. I know some women don't. Um, the thing is to just try to be feminine in your dress. I think is, but when everybody's wearing jeans and t-shirts, it's pretty basic, right? Just put on a t-shirt with flowers on it, I guess, and whatever. But it just, why would you have stomacher in there? Why would you have stomacher in there? I'm just curious. So anyway, I've kind of prattled on about this enough, and I could have probably made a much better presentation instead of just looking on Pinterest. But seriously, um, it very much, if you're considering like Greek and Roman clothing for a woman, uh, and then you look, they were either trying to emulate it, like we were the Edwardian period in the 80s, you know, or maybe the time period was a lot closer than what we think. That just makes me think. So it's a whole thing. Anyway, I think that's all I've got. Um, I have new books on Amazon. If you haven't popped over there, type in my name on Amazon, and there's several books there. We're getting ready for the spring magazine. Is going to be out April 30th. Oops. Um, Here we go. What did we call it? Roots and Reasons, taking a step back to move into the future is what the theme is for this next magazine. We will have cover reveal soon for this. Um, if you are, feeling isolated where you're at and you're starting to question a bunch of this stuff and you don't know exactly where to go with it, then consider joining our community. It's free and we can talk about these things over there. We meet like a Zoom call thing where you get on with me and we just talk through some of this stuff and we'll look up things in the Bible and we can talk about homeschooling, homesteading, what all the different things are. You can ask questions. I'm not the only one in there that knows something. So it's not just me. We're pooling ideas. It's a community. Okay. It's not about me. Not about me. It's about you. So if you are feeling isolated and overwhelmed and frustrated because you don't have people to talk to, then join us, please. Join us, please. Right now, it's all girls. If there are guys in the community that are interested, you know, email me and my husband would be happy to talk to you, like one on one. Okay. So if you've made it all the way to the end of this and you're a guy and you were paying any attention and you would like another fella to talk to about, you know, all the things going on in this world, then let me know, email me. We will attempt to get you in contact with man of the house and he'd be happy to visit with you. So anyway, I'm gonna let this go. Oh, I am in a summit and a bundle this month. So be looking. I will be posting. I'll post something in the community so you guys on the community tab thing, so you guys know what's going on. I don't think I've done that yet, so I will do that. And so you can check the community tab for the updates on that. And yeah, I think that's all the announcements I've got. I should do the announcements at the beginning, but I don't. So, anyway, yeah, let me know your thoughts.